Hello everybody, my name is May, and today I'm going to be doing something a bit different for today's video. You may be wondering what makes this different from any of my other videos, and that is because I'm going largely unscripted. I want my voice to sound natural and less robotic, as well as include more of my personality. I have a bulleted list of points I need to get to in this video, but besides from that, it's all off the top of my head. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like this structure? Do you prefer the more scripted format? Whatever it is, I'd be glad to hear it. So headcanons, or headcanoning, is the process by which a fan fills in the gaps of any story they are interested in, whether that be an unanswered question or something happening off screen or an explanation as to why a character specifically acts the way they do. These can be simple to outlandish, and I love listening to headcanons. Depending on where you look, you can find headcanons for like the Bible. There is a period of about 18 years where we didn't know what Jesus was doing between the ages of 12 and 30, so a lot of spiritual people headcanon that Jesus was practicing Buddhism. It's actually kind of insane. So I'm going to be talking about headcanons I have for something that's comparable to the Holy Bible. My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. I'm going to be going over 3 headcanons I have for each member of the main 6. Some more outlandish than others, just so we can have something fun to chew on. This is not a serious video, don't take anything I say as fact, this is just for fun and nothing more. Let's work our way backwards and start with the most boring headcanons I have, and that is Applejack's. First headcanon is that she sees Apple Bloom as a surrogate daughter. Since their parents are already dead and Granny Smith is pretty old, it would make sense that Applejack and to an extension Big Mac would have to take up some of the heavy lifting of raising Apple Bloom. She is very protective of Apple Bloom, and she definitely had that maternal strength kick in when she was being attacked by the Chimera. To me, it reads more mother and daughter than it is sister to sister. It really shows much of her maturity, and part of the reason why I think she's the second best of the main 6. Our next headcanon, her cutie mark is representative of her personality more than her talent. I see people get Applejack's cutie mark wrong all the time. They look at it and they think, oh, that means she's good at apple farming, when that's not how she got it at all. She got her cutie mark when she decided to be honest with herself as a member of the Apple family. The apples don't represent her talent, it represents her family. The reason why I consider this headcanon and not just canon is because the show really wants to get you to believe that the apples represent farming. For example, in the episode Magical Mystery Cure, when Pinkie Pie got Applejack's cutie mark, it was all about farming and doing chores and nothing about her relation to the Apple family. There are other characters out there whose cutie marks are reflective of their personality rather than a skill set, but Applejack is just simply the most prominent example. My final Applejack headcanon is that she is the most important member of the main 6. She is the most level-headed and reasonable member because she has something in spades that the other members lack: wisdom. She is able to be that anchor when her other friends are acting neurotic. In my opinion, if Applejack wasn't there, the main 6, or I guess in this context the main 5, would fall into utter chaos. Let's move on to our next pony, Fluttershy, and strap in folks because this one is going to be a doozy. Headcanon 1, her cottage is a tax write-off. You ever think about what Fluttershy had to have done to afford her cottage? What is Fluttershy's job that she gets paid for exactly that allows her to afford this? Since no other pony lives in a cottage in Ponyville, I'm guessing it was already there and pretty old at that, so she just moved in and started a non-profit. It looks like Fluttershy gets this house completely free. Man, do I envy her. Next headcanon is that Fluttershy is a cult victim or has religious trauma. I wrote these last night when I was half asleep, so I was inspired by this after rewatching Putting Your Hoof Down. There's like this scene in the episode where she locks herself in the house and is terrified of her reflection because she sees herself as a monster. It just sort of gave off the vibe of somebody who has religious trauma. If she wasn't a cult, it would explain why her parents are also very anxious and closed off like her, and would also explain why Zephyr Breeze doesn't act like them at all because he would have been too young to understand. Looking back, I may have internalized this from the occult worshipping Fluttershy from Friendship is Witchcraft. Okay, so this last headcanon for Fluttershy is less about her and more about the logic of Friendship is Magic as a whole. You know that moment where Fluttershy feeds the weasels fish despite the entire world of Equestria being vegetarian? I think Fluttershy can talk to fish, but they don't have any feelings. It's kind of like you can have a full conversation with Alexa, but they don't have any actual feelings or opinions. It's a crazy stretch to be sure, but it's the only way it makes sense for Fluttershy to kill anything. Alright, so moving on to our next pony, Rarity. My first headcanon is that her accent is fake. Despite the fact that Rarity speaks in a very proper mid-Atlantic accent, neither of her parents have it. As a matter of fact, they have a more Midwestern accent. Could you imagine if Rarity spoke in a Midwestern accent like she's from Minnesota? "Oh, Sweetie Belle, don't you know you look nice in your dress? Let me get a picture." Okay, I'll stop. I'm guessing she just picked it up to be more respected by her peers as she enters the fashion industry. You know, seem less like a yokel. My next headcanon actually relates back to her parents. Her gemstone locating magic was able to make her and her parents extremely wealthy, explaining why they're always out on vacation. It also explains why she's able to open such a luxurious boutique from scratch. Finally, I can't end off my discussion of Rarity without talking about some juicy drama. Despite being such a romantic, she never ended up in a relationship by the end of the series because she was so hopelessly in love with Applejack. Rarity's dream was to find a partner, settle down, and get married. However, she just never did, which I find to be so unexpected. This can be explained if you look at the Equestria Girls version of Rainbow Dash and Applejack, as they were very romantically interested in one another. So you can assume their pony versions also reciprocate similar feelings. However, Rainbow Dash got to Applejack first, making Rarity into a cuck. I'm going to offer no segue as we move on to our next character, Pinkie Pie. So have you noticed that Pinkie Pie was very not content with her life as a rock farmer unlike the rest of her family? Well, I believe she spent some part of her life living with her grandmother, the unseen Granny Pie. She seems to be more like the Pinkie Pie we know now in comparison to the rest of her family. We know that she loves to laugh and lift up the spirits of other ponies, which probably led Pinkie Pie into realizing how boring her life as a rock farmer is. Probably out of all the unseen characters at MLP, Granny Pie is the one I'm disappointed that we never got to see. Our next headcanon is that she has full control of herself as an animated character. We as the audience already know she can break the fourth wall and do some otherwise impossible things, but we've never seen the full extent to it. Like, I can imagine she could manipulate the layers of a scene, or mess around with her vector, or even change the dub in her head. Like, imagine Grant Morrison to Animal Man level of meta, which by the way, read that comic, it is incredible. Okay, last headcanon for Pinkie Pie, and this is Knuckin' Futz. I believe that besides from Twilight, Pinkie Pie was the last to die out of the main six. I said before that Applejack is the most level-headed member of the main six, but Pinkie Pie is the heart of the main six. I can't imagine that Twilight would be able to go on for much longer if Pinkie Pie died before anybody else. Pinkie Pie is a character that Twilight is very emotionally attached to. Like, it's hard to be mad at Pinkie Pie when her whole goal is to make other ponies in her life happy. Like, it is so mad for them to get mad at Pinkie Pie that Twilight felt instant regret after yelling at her in the movie. To me, Pinkie Pie is the only friend to be able to keep Twilight sane as she slowly loses her friends. Moving on to an even more awesomer pony who I hope won't bring down the tone of this video, we have Rainbow Dash. You know, the pony who has a special talent of turning her friends into cucks. That one. And sort of related to that talent, I think she was the one to propose to Applejack. Applejack is definitely not the pony to do formalities like that, and since Rainbow Dash is the element of loyalty, then it would make sense that she'd be the one to propose. And I mean, look at her house, she definitely has the money to afford a wedding ring. And I'm guessing she was some sort of entrepreneur to afford that house because she definitely dropped out of school. She was first place as a junior flyer, even beating out future Wonderbolts like Spitfire. She even discovered legendary techniques like the Sonic Rain Boom. So it's a wonder why she didn't become a Wonderbolt sooner. So my headcanon is that she's a dropout. She thought she was too good for the other flyers, which yeah, she was, but she didn't apply herself with her talent. Speaking of Rainbow Dash in school, I want to talk about her human incarnation for this last headcanon. I don't think Rainbow Dash dresses the way she does as a choice. I think her parent makes her dress herself. Despite her hyperactivity, Rainbow Dash is notoriously lazy, so there is no way she puts together these elaborate and aesthetically pleasing outfits. If we were being realistic, a human Rainbow Dash would dress like Jesse Pinkman. Finally, we have the main mare herself, Twilight Sparkle. My first headcanon is that Twilight is blind. Okay, not like blind like she sees only black, but blind in the sense where she needs glasses. Sidetwi, even as a pony, needs glasses, whilst our Twilight doesn't. Sidetwi is also a lot more calm and reserved in comparison to Twilight's otherwise unhinged behavior. If Twilight was never properly prescribed glasses, then it could explain as to why she overworks herself or gets so stressed. She doesn't know she has a disability and has to work through it. It's simple, but it could explain as to why these two versions of the same character act so drastically different. My next headcanon for Twilight is that she got Luna'd in G5. What do I mean by that? So you know how in the Friendship is Magic premiere, Luna has a drastically different design than how she does in Season 2 onwards? A lot of fans interpret this as Luna just being weakened after being defeated by the main 6. I think something similar happened to Twilight in Generation 5. When we see her apparitions in G5, she looks younger and not how she did in the series finale of Friendship is Magic. I believe after she created the Unity Crystals to seal away Pony magic, it severely weakened her and reverted her back into a less powerful state. I know that the real reason is probably budget or that they didn't have the rights to that design, but it's just my way of trying to understand why she looks so different. That brings me to the final headcanon for Twilight and the final headcanon of this video. Twilight is able to use the powers of the other elements of Harmony. Her element, magic, only exists when the other 5 elements are present, meaning that she could probably use the magic of her friends. We see her recreate the Sonic Rainboom as well as break the 4th wall alongside Pinkie Pie. So it's not impossible that Twilight could talk to animals like Fluttershy, or locate gems like Rarity, or use Applejack's dirtness. This was my personal favorite headcanon of the video and was the one that inspired me to make this whole thing. Tell me what you guys think about my headcanons in the comments below. Do you agree with any of them? Do you disagree with any of them? Or do you have any different ones from my own? I would love to read them. Anyway, that is all the time I have for today. Thank you for watching. I've been May and I'll see you next time.